Hi guys, today I'm gonna review Walking on Knives by Maya Chhabra. This book was sent to me through Netgalley in exchange for an honest review. Walking on Knives is actually a novelette, is what it's called. I think it's basically just a short story. I don't know how many pages. I think it has around like 11,500 something words. And it is a fairy tale retelling of The Little Mermaid with a female-female romance element in it. I was really excited to request this because I really love Little Mermaid retellings. I'm normally not a big retelling person, but The Little Mermaid always gets me, and especially if it's female-female. So I was really excited, and also this is from the publisher Less Than 3 Press, and I've requested quite a lot of their stuff before, and I just really enjoy their stuff overall, or I just really enjoy what they kind of stand for, because they only publish LGBTQ plus fiction, and so I really want to support that publisher as well. And so I thought, even though normally I think for this kind of short book I wouldn't really do a video review, I thought why not do a video review, especially because I feel like Little Mermaid retellings are something people in general are really fond of, so I thought I'd talk about it today. So I really don't want to say anything about the synopsis at all because it is a very short book, and I feel like you're probably either interested or not interested if you hear Little Mermaid retelling and FF romance. I think that's basically all you need to know. There is a short synopsis on Goodreads, but I really wouldn't recommend reading it because I feel like it already tells a lot of the story. I actually have to say I wasn't even the biggest fan of it, and I still wanted to do a video review on it because I feel like if you, like me, just really enjoy Little Mermaid retellings, it's still a retelling that is very worth reading. I just think that it had a lot of potential, and I really love the idea behind it. It just was not long enough to get that whole idea out there. I think if this was a little bit longer, like a novella length, I think already would have been enough. Then there would be enough space to really have this story developed and have the relationships in it developed. I feel like with this length, it just wasn't possible, but I still really love the idea, and I think it had a lot of potential. So I do really think if you like retellings, you will enjoy it, or just really find yourself being invested in it somewhat. Another kind of problem that I had was that I feel like the writing was a little bit wonky. In the beginning, I had a hard time telling whose perspective we were reading from, and I kind of got used to it at some point, and it was a little bit clearer who the different characters are and who's getting a perspective. But I definitely think there were some bits that made it a little bit confusing, and they could have been clearer to kind of make clear whose perspective we are reading from. While I love the idea of the female-female romance aspect in the story, I think that was actually the aspect that I kind of felt most disappointed by, and that was definitely because of the length. I do think the idea is really good, and I do think that you could really expand on this idea, but I don't think it was able to kind of make you invested in this relationship, and it basically came out of nowhere. The feelings these two characters had for each other, they were out of absolute nowhere. There was no development, and I just think that's so sad because there was so much potential and it was such a cool idea, and especially because the basic premise is obviously that, you know, the Little Mermaid falls in love with the prince and he saves her, but he falls in love with a different girl, and I actually felt like the development between the Little Mermaid and the prince was really interesting. The relationship that they had and how it developed throughout this novelette was really, really cool. And I really liked it, and I really feel like this is what I would have loved to see from the romance. And especially because of that, I see the potential, because that development was so great. So I know there's more potential for that other relationship to be really great. So I kind of just wanted to make this quick video about it. I feel like if you are looking for a Little Mermaid retelling, you could definitely check this out. It's just a really short book. I got done with it in one sitting, and I don't even know, it took me just under an hour, pretty sure. And I just think maybe you shouldn't really go into it with the expectations of a female-female romance. I think just go into it with the expectations of it's a Little Mermaid retelling, and it has an interesting concept, and there's some interesting character and relationship development in it, but it's not really the female-female romance that strives in this book. This book does contain some explicit content, but I do think that young adults would be perfectly fine with reading it. And it also has a scene with some dubious consent, so, you know, if you have any triggers in that direction, just be careful going into it. Anyway, these were my thoughts on Walking on Knives by Maya Chhabra. Let me know if you have read the book and what you thought of it, or if you want to read this book. It's not a bad book by any means. It could have been so much better if it was a little bit longer, but I still hope that I just motivate a few people to read it thanks to this review. That would be really cool, so let me know in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!